Welcome to Mexican Crossing Lines with your hosts, Cindy Gomez-Schempp.
And Duke Gomez-Schempp.
You're listening to 88.1 FM, KPPPLP, Fargo Moorhead, where we are adding local color to your airwaves. I may be jumping back and forth between doing my job and Nemo's job today because we're staffless.
Oh.
Right?
Well, we don't want that.
Well, that's what happened, dude.
Oh, well.
They're all out.
Mm-hmm.
So I got to try and do everything. And tonight, you are not going to want to miss a minute, not a minute, of this show titled Con Artivists. Do you know what an artivist is? Neither did I. Apparently, it's an activist that is an artist, or it's an artist and an entertainer that also does activism.
I see.
We found a lot of those.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know we were in their midst, but there's a lot of them out there because, as we found out, there's all sorts of actors, actresses, entertainers, rappers, all sorts of musicians and B and D list actors that were operating at Standing Rock. Nearly 3 years ago, we've been tracking a lot of these folks, and the network of them, these con artivists that I'm calling them, if they're calling themselves artivists, I'm going to call them con artivists because they definitely are conning people. And they practice their trade in a way in which I find it to be offensive. Yep. Insulting, like Estefania Rebelon, the actress that has been involving herself with the caravans and with the refugees in Mexico with her Yes We Can bus, and also doing a movie for which she raised, I think they were trying to get over $100,000 for a dang bus.
Yeah.
For a bus on wheels, and it changed from her setting up a school at El Barretal right before it was set to close.
Mm-hmm.
It was almost like they had other things in mind.
Yeah.
Right? And then making a movie where she plays an immigrant, where she and other people play immigrants that are in need of crossing in this dangerous situation, and they're trying to get their film to get awards for accurately portraying what's really happening to the migrants. So these artists, these entertainers, these Hollywood actors, musicians, etc., directors, movie makers, documentarians, we also saw this same phenomenon at Standing Rock. We didn't know it was a movie set. We had no idea that anybody that went to Standing Rock was an unpaid extra unless you were paid. Mm-hmm. And we did find out many of those actors out there, bad actors out there, were professional activists, professional at going from one place to the next place to the next place. And everywhere they go, they make documentaries.
Yeah.
They make movies.
Fakeumentries.
Then they all go on these, the Sundance Film Festival, they go to all these festivals.
Mm-hmm.
They show these movies at different universities. It's like they're all the people that are in the documentary become mini celebrities for a while. And then they go on to con someone else. That's what is happening in the film industry today. I didn't know this because, I really love watching documentaries, especially thinking that those are the types of movies that are actually going to give me some straight information, some real information. And while they may educate me about some topics that are important that I know about, that I don't know about, I didn't think that they could be completely fictional, like the whole thing is propaganda. And now that I know that, I feel you all need to know that too. We need to be aware of how we're consuming what these con artivists, these two-faced, in many cases, playing both sides against the middle people, what they're capable of. I know what they're capable of because I've seen it. I've seen what these people have done to the state of North Dakota. I saw what they did to other projects, other camps, other towns where they went. And tonight I'm going to focus on some specific con artivists that have everything to do with Tijuana, and with this propaganda in the movies. We're going to start by going back to that group I talked to you about called Refuse Fascism. The group that was started by none other than indigenous leader at Standing Rock, Chase Iron Eyes. Domestic terrorist of the Weather Underground, Bill Ayers. And former Baltimore cop that brought us the Veterans Stand for Standing Rock in North Dakota, Michael A. Wood Jr. And others, including Cornell West. I think the foreword to their page was written by him. And there was a lot of people that signed on to that. One of them we're going to talk about tonight is a director of short films. His name is Bret. And he makes short films, obviously, but he specifically, we're going to talk about a film he made featuring a woman named Paloma, Ruth, Zuniga, Delint, titled So Far From God. We'll look at what this particular director does, what the movies that he makes are meant to do, how they are awarded and sold as social activism, as social justice activism. And we'll get into the reasons why that specific actress, Paloma Zuniga, otherwise known as Paloma for Trump, is so problematic. Why this person is something does not smell right with this person, okay? And I'm going to show you some of my arguments, some of my evidence, because you know I bring you receipts of why something smells rotten in Denmark when it comes to Paloma for Trump, aka Paloma Zuniga Delint. Many of you may already have your own reasons for why you think this person is not on the up and up, why you think this person is a con artivist yourself. You may already have your reasons, but I'm going to give you mine, some of them tonight. And I'm going to show you what else Paloma Zuniga Delint did, one of the many things that did that were very jarring to me, that turned the red light on, that made me think, uh-oh, something is going on here. And that was her visit to the Embajada de Migrantes, the migrant embassy on the beaches in Tijuana. Playas de Tijuana, right on the beach.
Right in front of that thing behind you.
Right in front of that wall that is on the image behind me right now, for those of the people that are watching us instead of listening to us on the radio. Yes. And by the way, there's a lot of reasons why that migrant shelter, a group of migrant shelters that sits there, run by the border angels and Hugo Castro, specifically, why, A, they're not supposed to be that close to the border wall. B, they're allowed to be there despite violating the rules in Tijuana about how close your shelter can be to the border wall. C, how after they have had people come there repeatedly and ask to enter this embassy, which Hugo Castro, in a video I showed you, said he keeps locked. He doesn't let anybody in. It's locked from the outside with a padlock. You can't go in there. He doesn't let people in there that don't respect migrants, that don't protect the migrants, that are not on board with their mission. Somehow, the Arizona Patriots and Paloma for Trump They got in like this. They just walked over there and they're like, you want to come in? Like they were friends of hers. And we're going to get into a little deeper of a dive on Hugo Castro's partner, who's also involved in films and directing for a film company called Humano. They do social activism through filming too. His wife is named Gabriela Cortes. We'll get into all of that and what Humano Films does on tonight's show, Con Artivists, here on A Mexican Crossing Lines. But first, I want to thank you. I want to continue to encourage those of you who are watching to please make a donation to our work, because we are not dependent on corporate sponsors. We do not have ads. We're not beholden to anyone but the listeners and the viewers. And if you want to keep our work alive and thriving, please donate. Thank you to all of you. You know who you are, who helped me with today's show and with all of the shows that we do here, sending me information, for your emails, for your well wishes, for all your comments and feedback. I thank you from the bottom of my heart. Duke, how can folks get a hold of us?
Yeah, one moment, please. Get my camera working there again.
Uh-oh.
It's a good way to do it. Otherwise, I just disappear.
Oh, no.
That's not good. And thank you all who have been participating, especially the people that continually send us information and continually give us leads. And like we try to tell you that we read all the stuff we get. We may not use it right away, but we bank it. And sometimes we have to go back and say, remember the thing you sent us like 3 months ago? We need to find that again and use that for tonight's show, because we're making these connections. And many of you get a hold of us in various ways, but also we have a listening audience. So we'd like to let everybody know all the ways you can get a hold of us. And we reproduce these shows in audio formats, most of them, not all of them. And we produce them on our radio station here in the Fargo-Moorhead area. So if you're listening and driving around in your car, or if you're just watching the live stream tonight and you want to get a hold of us in different ways, we have a call-in line that you can leave a 3-minute message. It's 701-566-0917. Again, that's 701-566-0917. You can do old-fashioned email, cindy@kpppfm.com, me at duke@kpppfm.com. You can tweet us at media_PPP, and go to Facebook at 88.1 FM Fargo-Moorhead, the People's Press Project of Mexi-Can. Also, don't forget to go to kpppfm.com, and you can watch the shows that we produce. We put them on YouTube on our channel, Duke1517. Please go there and subscribe, and you'll get the videos within an hour or two after we produce these shows. That's for people that we're developing a YouTube audience, plus there's people that don't use Facebook. That way they can see these shows. And on kpppfm.com, you can go look at our different programming. You can go to Mexican Crossing Lines and look at the shows there. We post the links for the show there too. So it's additional information if you want to fact check us or go backwards and see the full videos that we took parts from, or see the articles we're talking about. All that information is there. Also, when you're there, please go to our donate tab, kpppfm.com/donate. As Cindy said, we don't take corporate dollars. We're a non-corporate media. We're a non-profit, non-commercial. We do underwriting. So if you have an idea that you would like to promote your business, you can make a tax-deductible donation to us, and we'll put a mention on the air for your generosity in working with us, and it's tax deductible. Or you can just make a donation to the station or to our travel fund so we can travel to Tijuana. And that would be great. We've been planning for that. We have some money raised, but we don't have enough. If you could bump that up, we could make that a reality. We'd really appreciate that. So go to kpppfm.com/donate, and thank you all.
Thank you so much. Now, guys, I have to tell you that I found this Refuse Fascism page fascinating. Their website, the group. You have to understand, though, that when I first saw it, which was right after Trump was inaugurated, shortly after it was created, and that's also when Standing Rock was ending. You see, Standing Rock happened partially during the Obama administration, and then Trump was elected and inaugurated while the beginning of the closing down of the Standing Rock camps was happening. And this group of people, including folks that were leaders at Standing Rock, that were leaders of this gigantic con that was perpetrated on the people of North Dakota, like Michael A. Wood Jr. and Chase Iron Eyes, was very disturbing, and Dr. Cornel West was very, very disturbing to me. I could see that this group and its leadership, among them communist leaders and, as I said, domestic terrorists like Mr. what's his name? Bill Ayers?
Yes.
Of the Weather Underground. They were going to be bad. Whatever they're doing cannot be bad, but it's cloaked in this. Well, fascism is bad. Nobody would agree that fascism is good. So if you say that you refuse fascism in America, then everyone will be on board with it. But in actuality, if you look at the rhetoric, I showed you a video. On my last show, we talked about the fact that these folks are saying that the Trump Pence administration is a, what do they call it? The Reich? No, the regime.
Regime. That's it.
That's it. They call it the regime of Trump Pence. They're trying to equate not only the president and the vice president of this current administration as fascist, but all of the people that vote Republican as well. Remember I showed you a video? I had you listen. They're calling for Americans to overthrow their government. They're saying things like, we could be like Hong Kong right now. We could be doing this. We could be doing what they did in Puerto Rico, except we could be doing it with Trump and Pence. And they're also the same people calling for folks to go and put their body in harm's way in a protest, right? To go to a camp, concentration camp, and shut it down. That's what they're advocating for. This is the group Refuse Fascism. And I told you nothing that can come of it is good, because it's dangerous what they're asking folks to do, not to mention the fact that it sounds a lot like crime.
Mm-hmm.
Like, sounds like you're calling for the overthrow of the government and inciting people to violence. So that's treason-y-ish,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
right?
Exactly.
Adjacent-ish to treason. And here's the thing, guys. This Refuse Fascism is a way of thinking. You know, they keep repeating. It's almost like they're trying to brainwash people into accepting that Republicans are fascists. Republicans are fascists. America is a fascist country. We live under fascism. We have to overthrow our fascist government and start anew. We have to do it. And a lot of the people that are calling for us to do this have ties to entertainment, right? There's all of these actors, actresses, musicians that just came out of the woodwork all of a sudden. Mm-hmm. That's who we're going to be focusing on tonight in this group. From this group, Refuse Fascism, which again, from their page on the web, you can see was initiated by this group of people, which includes the Weather Underground
Bill Ayers,
terrorist. They
yes.
just call him an activist and an educator, but he went to jail.
Yeah. He was bombing government buildings, and a guy got killed in one of the bombings they did. They were they were a group that really make me mad. They really make me mad because they are one of the reasons why we have the militarized police at protests, because they are out there, a bunch of middle-class white kids, well-to-do white kids out there fighting for the rights of black people. And, they were out there.
Allegedly.
Allegedly they said they were trying to fight for the rights of black people. And they're out there setting bombs off. And they bombed a government building. And it's just really freaked out Washington. They didn't have that sort of security, that sort of military buildup with law enforcement. But after the Weather Underground went and they started doing their stuff, and they did this terrorism across the whole country. And they would do these videos, and they do this messaging. And this Bill Ayers, he was one of the people that got prosecuted, and then, I don't know, he got out of jail and eventually became an instructor at a college or something like that. And there was also people that actually never got caught for many years. So yeah, this is a bad group. They really bothered me for the stuff they've done in the past. So to see them on the centenary of this organization now is like, oh, we're just going backwards.
And what did the Standing Rock activists do for the militarization of protests and laws being passed for that you can't wear masks or scarves on your face, or that they try to even pass a law where you would be shielded as a driver from driving into a crowd of protesters.
Mm-hmm.
So what have they done, these Standing Rock activists, Duke, and the ones from Standing Rock?
Well, they've done about the same thing. They've also caused counties and law enforcement from across the country to build up their arsenals to fight against these fake activists, and they cost this state many dollars. And there's all sorts of legislatures trying to pass laws to even punish more and more activism. So the day when you would go to a protest, exercise your constitutional rights, now you're being seen as a potential terrorist in this country because of those sorts of actions.
Exactly. Well, here is the entry in the Key Wiki of the initiators of Refuse Fascism, that group, of Bret Polish. Here is his name in this long PDF. There's a lot of signatories of this group. Can you scroll down to where his name is, Duke?
Sure.
Because we can't see it on screen at the moment. Got the wrong one there. It's the one above it. Yeah. That's his name.
There it is.
But it was good that you had it at the top so they could see that it came from the Key Wiki of the Refuse Fascism PDF, which lists all the people that signed on to it, including this guy, who, as it happens, is a director of short films. Here he is in 2012 talking about how he is a director of short films. At the time in 2012, which is many years ago.
Oh, yeah.
He said, what, Duke?
He says, this is Bret Polish. I'm currently working on a short film about the Justice for Janitors strike, and I'm looking for some white college students for walk-on roles. I'm filming this Wednesday, November 20th, in Van Nuys. If you know anyone who might be interested, shoot me an email at blah, 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 blah.
Then let's look at the next thing here, which is the biography. Could you please?
Oh, yes, on his IMDb.
That.
Bret Polish. He's a Los Angeles-based filmmaker with a desire to make the world a better place. In May 2016, he earned his master's degree in film production and completed his thesis film, So Far From God, an adaptation of the scene from his feature film script. Esperanza So Far From God went on to win the Best Picture at the Loya Maymount Film Outside the Frame competition and will be premiering at the Urban World, Cine Magnifico, and Viral Latino Film Festivals this September, while the script for Esperanza was a finalist in Francis Ford Coppola's American Zoetrope Screenplay competition and has been selected for the Oaxaca Film Fest. Esperanza was also one of the projects selected for the Film Independent Incubator Lab during 2016 to 2017. Esperanza is based on Bret's experiences with undocumented students, family members, and friends. In making this film, Bret seeks to raise awareness of the plight of undocumented Latinos and children that Americans can develop more Let me say it one more time. He seeks to raise awareness of the plight of undocumented Latinos so that Americans can develop a more humane immigration system. And this is on IMDb, so you can find it there.
So, what did you take away from that?
Well, he's focused on the plight of the migrants, and he's trying to show Americans what people go through as they migrate. I've only seen clips of film. I haven't seen the whole thing. The thing's only like 15 minutes long. and it's actually being shown, and you can't actually find it online at this point. But I've seen enough of it that it's like it's kind of a docudrama of people crossing the border and families crossing the border, and he wants you as an American to understand the plight of these people and what they're going through. That's my impression of what I just read.
Well, that is a very good impression. You've done a great job of figuring out what I read it the same way. Obviously, that is important to him. Here he's posting about how he wanted to film a movie about crossing into the United States at the border. Will you read those?
Ron Gocha says, not allowed to film at the border? What about the Mexican side? And Bret Polish says, hi, Ron. I'm probably going to be filming some of the scenes in Tijuana. The thing that I'd like to film people actually crossing through a hole in the wall and don't want anyone to get in trouble. They spelled hole with W-H-O-L-E. I think that's it on that one.
Okay. Sorry. So what do you think of that, Duke?
Well, he wants to go and film people actually crossing, so it's like...
Which isn't a legal thing.
It's a chancy thing to do, but also he's encouraging it. It's like, hey, you want to cross and I'll film you, and it's like, but he wants that real stuff for that cred for what he's doing with this movie he's working on. So he's gonna grab some footage of someone actually crossing the border.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's very interesting because undocumented. Let me see the YouTube
screenplay
video channel.
Screenshot.
He has a YouTube channel, but it's a very minimal amount of videos on there.
I think there's only 3 that I saw when I went there.
Yeah, that's it. That's all I got. Anyway, and none of them are the film, the short films he does.
Yeah,
they're clips, and 2 of the clips, by the way, I got to talk about the 2 little clips I did see, are of women mopping floors, and that's what you see on the screen now, which comes from one of the clips of one of the films that he put on there, and they're mopping, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they're cleaning, like they're doing menial tasks. It's so derivative in a way, and I think it feels a little bit like stereotypical and racist because the way that they choose to this person, it just struck me, chose to prominently feature women in 2 of these shorts was as mopping, like janitors. In one scene, not on this film, in another one that clip that he put up, there's a woman cleaning the wall near the floor in a men's bathroom, such that nearby, as she is like cleaning this wall that doesn't it seems so weird that she's cleaning the wall near the floor, but she's close enough. See, the reason is because she's close enough to the urinal. Yeah. Where a man is literally peeing into the urinal while she is wiping the wall.
Okay.
So you get the sense that, I get what this is. There is a theme here. By the way, in the particular clip that I was just mentioning about the urinal, the woman that goes to this job starts off at her house and she's walking. And she passes this large group of Si Se Puede protesters that kind of get up while she's walking by and try to block her path on the sidewalk. And she kind of like pushes them away. Like, I don't want to get involved with you people. And all they're saying is Si Se Puede. They're not really like, there's no like general topic that they're protesting for or against. And then she goes and does all of these menial tasks at her job as a janitor. And then it cuts to a scene after the urine thing where she or somebody wrote on the wall of the bathroom, F this job or F this. That's what it was. And then the next thing you see her, she's walking out with her hoodie on, and she joins the protest.
Been liberated.
Right. She joined in because she is one of the Mexicans, or she's one of the Spanish speakers. So she should be in there. She should have done it from the beginning, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what changed her mind is how crappy her life is and the conditions of her life. And it was interesting because I know that there is a message that these directors, filmmakers, that they want to put forth. I saw it in all of the crappy documentaries that came out of Standing Rock.
Mm-hmm.
I almost vomited watching them, but I saw it, you know?
Yeah.
And I will be honest, I couldn't watch all of them because, oh my God. Just watching Awake, The Nightmare from Elm Street, or whatever the hell that movie was called, almost gave me an aneurysm, which I do not want to experience again. And I'm going to be honest, I have not seen a full Bret Polish film, start to finish, so I can't really speak to, like, if it's good or if it's bad. But I think, it's definitely propaganda for something.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what a lot of these documentary filmmakers do. I didn't know that. Honestly, maybe everyone else in the world thinks I'm naive and they're like, oh, of course, everybody does that. Did you know that there's like all of these documentary films that are made that are fictional, that are invented, some of them by the very people creating the narrative? Were you aware?
Well, I'm getting more wise to that now. No, I hadn't been. I hadn't been until we started, tracking people in Standing Rock, and we saw all the things that came out of there. Then we see them do these festivals, and they'd stand up on stage and talk for 2 hours about this film, and it'd be like, I've watched a lot of the films, and it's like they're not very good, And also, if you know what's going on in the background, you know what it was really about, and you see this fictitious, mockumentary, made up propaganda films, then you really start questioning all these films that are being made, and we keep on finding new characters like this Bret Polish.
Well, let me just say that what I was really shocked by wasn't so much this movie, but that they do this, because I've learned by now, after 3 years of watching these mercenary activists in Standing Rock, that's what they do. It was disgusting to see the person that kidnapped the elderly woman in the Kathleen Bennett case featured in one of these disasters. It was, stomach wrenching to watch so many of the people that were involved in falsely imprisoning an innocent woman that we managed to get free and reunite with her mom, but not before the acts of these unscrupulous people, that many of them are actors, and they're the ones writing the narrative. And of course, if they accidentally put someone in jail or commit a crime that is so heinous and unspeakable that they should be embarrassed to show their faces and especially to call themselves any kind of defenders of human rights, they have to cover that stuff up because they have a persona, they have a mask to wear for the world, and it is enshrined in many ways in the propaganda, in the film industry, in the media. So Far From God had quite a cast. Here is the page from the movie. You can see that it was, as you scroll down,
it's 14 minutes long.
It's a 14-minute long documentary, short film.
October 2016 it was released.
Yep, in
Bret
2016, and there's a picture of the cast. Now, you may not recognize who the person is at the center of that photo that's got their cheek on their fist. They're leaning on their arm like they're,
Mm-hmm.
But that is, in fact, Paloma for Trump, a.k.a. Paloma Zuniga Delint. That's her.
Wow.
In this movie. This is a woman, by the way, for those of you who are not familiar with Paloma for Trump, you never heard about Paloma for Trump. She is allegedly, because remember, these people are con artivists. Mm-hmm. So the fact that they say that they're something don't mean squat, in my opinion. And I'm going to show you my receipts, so, We'll see. But this person says she is a conservative and claims to be a ardent Trump supporter. But interestingly, she lives in Tijuana. She lives in Mexico. And as far as I can tell, she really doesn't come into the United States very frequently. Maybe because they might get in trouble? Mm-hmm. I don't know. It seems like there's a lot of questions. I'm not going to get into all of the details of it tonight because I got a lot to show you. And I want everything that I show you tonight to be very concrete and real for you.
Yeah.
Right? So that you understand. But I have to factor in, because this is a person that is very critical. I'm going to be honest with all of you out there. For those of you who are Paloma for Trump followers or friends or whatever, I'm sorry if I am pulling down your sacred cow. But I have no sacred cows here. I was attacked when these artivists, these mercenary activists that came out of Standing Rock, turned out to be hooligans, thugs, pimps, drug pushers, rapists, and the like. And many of their supporters, in fact, many of those in the media industry, in the entertainment industry, who continued to back them, support them, and fund them even till this day. Francis Fisher. Those people came at me hard. Oh, but Cindy, you don't know. Maybe you're wrong. Did you talk to them? I don't need to. Actions speak louder than words, and a picture is worth 1,000 of those. That's her in a movie that is pro-immigrant from a refuse fascism. Remember, this is an organization that calls the Trump administration and Pence a regime, right? Mm-hmm. This is a group that says that anybody that voted conservative is a fascist. And she's collaborating with that.
Yeah.
She's collaborating in this guy's film. But she says she's a conservative and a Trump supporter. I don't know. It sounds strange. Let's find out more. Here's a bigger picture of the cast from their page. This is the So Far From God cast. Oops, that's not the right one anymore.
There we go.
And you can see it's a bigger picture. This actually came from the Facebook page, but you can recognize her in the movie. This wasn't a movie 10 years ago. This wasn't a movie when the border wasn't an issue. This is a movie of 2016, and they're still using it today, folks. How come this woman who, as far as I have been able to tell from the videos I have seen for as long as I have been able to watch them, she is a loud person. So am I. I'm not, I have no problem with that. She is a loud person. She talks about all of her, she constantly talks about every detail of her life, like all of the time. She is in love with herself. She wants to talk about herself nonstop. Has she mentioned her movie with Bret?
Nope.
Has she ever talked about her movie with Bret? Because I bet you this pendeja is going to come and say, oh, so what? Big deal. I was in a movie that you never told anyone about. You're always acting like you're some fresh-faced actress that just came from Hollywood. You always acting on all your videos that you wear your sunglasses and your Trump hat in. You're always acting like you're at the top of the line. You know this person, you know that person. The Republican group of blah, blah, blah has you as their spokesperson. You know, you have cachet. You've done this. Your grandpa was the sheriff. You know, like you got important background. You can't help but tell everyone because You are obsessed with letting everyone know about your badassery and your amazingness. When you watched her, now I got to tell you that when I saw this woman, I even used some of her videos to illustrate what the people around her were doing, like Paola Mendoza, okay? But I could tell she was, it felt like she was overacting. I didn't realize she was actually an actress. I can't rate whether she's a good one or not, but it just felt like there was a lot of overacting going on. Now, I don't know if you've ever been in a play, in a skit. Duke, I'm going to ask you some questions about doing a movie.
All right.
Okay? When you were in theater, because you know how this works, right? Because we're going to logically walk through this with you.
All right.
You were a thespian at one time.
Oh, yeah, I lettered in theater. I'm a thespian.
That makes you an expert, Duke. You're an expert now.
That's right.
Now, when you were supposed to be in a play, not a movie, okay? Just a damn play.
Mm-hmm.
Just a high school play. Did they give you the script a week before, a day before, show you the costume you were going to wear, and then go, okay, just go with it, and not tell you what it's about, what your character is, what it's based on, what the importance of your acting in this part is, the history of the damn play? Don't they explain that to you? Because I know my kid was in theater, and that's exactly what they did. Did they not do that before? Is it something that's...
Oh, no, they always do that. They're going to have read-throughs, you're going to have run-throughs, you're going to have the script, you're going to read it. Even if you have a little tiny part, you're gonna end up going through the whole thing so you understand it. And read-throughs are just reading the words and not even developing the characters. And I haven't been in movies, and I know when they do extras, they just throw someone in there for some crowd scene. They have a little bit of orientation about what they're supposed to be doing, what they're getting involved in too. And Paloma Zuniga was not an extra in this movie. She was in the movie. She's listed as part of the cast. She's actually the last one because they went alphabetically. But my experience in theater is that it was very thorough. You really understood what you were supposed to be doing, what the play was about, and also how the director wanted to direct the play. So there was a lot of stuff that was prep work for you to really understand the role you're going to be playing and understand, the production. You have to understand the production so everybody's on board.
I have another question for you, Duke. Would you not know who the director is, especially if they specialize in certain things? Like, for example, if you were doing a theater act that was based on a book or that was based on a historical event, they would tell you that kind of thing as an actor, right?
Of course, and there would be notes, and there would be all sorts of forwards and all sorts of material that you would actually read through before you actually started doing any of the work on the production, for sure.
And what are the chances? What are the odds that a specialty short filmmaker like Bret Polish, who's an activist or a propagandaist, a con artivist, creating his art, right? What is if instead that you have these folks that are participating in a movie that they just called wherever you shop for actors at, and they went, oh, can you just send over a bunch of random brown people to act in my movie? I mean, how do you procure the group of actors? They usually come from a place. You don't get them at Walmart, right? These B-list, D-list actors.
Well, no, you got to know somebody, or someone has to have agents. They have production companies that actually look for people.
And for specialty films like this,
and you're gonna sign something too. You're gonna be, what do you get out of it? Are you just gonna get, just going to be in this movie, no one's ever going to know it. They're going to have your name. You're going to have some material that you're actually going to agree to, because you got to agree when to be there and what you're going to do. And so you're going to have information. It's not like you just pop in, you're going out for coffee, and, I ended up being in a movie today when I was like walking downtown. They'd be approaching you, especially afterwards, to actually have the release of information, actually use you in their film. Otherwise, you could sue them for, using your character likeness, your person, without any permission in their film to make money off of, so.
I think that the likelihood that Paloma not only knew the topic, the title, what this movie was based on, but also the director and his mission for his social justice activism movie making work, I think all of those things were known to Paloma.
Yeah.
And that she purposely made a choice. She was going to be in this film. And you can say anything that you want about what might have happened after that, whether she changed her mind, where she is now, what you think she's like today. But that doesn't mean jack squat to me, because she's in this movie. And by the way, I don't know if you all know that Univision has been horrible at reporting on the migrant caravan in Tijuana. Mexicans in Tijuana, Tijuanenses there, they will tell you Jorge Ramos and Univision are vomit-inducing to the people because they have lacked integrity in telling the truth. They've just resorted to calling the mayor a racist. I showed you another piece recently that was mounted where they were literally watching kids cross of the river, toddlers' heads going underwater as a mother almost drowned. The spectacle being used by Jorge Ramos of Univision, the same station that I told you was doing a propaganda piece propping up Irineo Mujica of Pueblos Sin Fronteras. That other guy whose name is escaping, Ulises, the guy that was the escort or coyote, whatever you want to call him, that was coming with the migrants, that these folks were all involved with. That Univision and that Jorge Ramos. People know they're tainted, they're slanted, I don't know who bought them, how much they cost, but they're bought. They're bought and paid for. And that is who inspired this movie, Jorge Ramos. He wrote, the director did, on the page, he's also a teacher like Shane Parmalee.
Okay.
And he says, could you please repeat?
In my U.S. history classes, I teach my students that the United States is a nation of immigrants. Though I was born here, I know this really secondhand. Most of my family came from Europe and Israel, and my wife and most of her family came from Mexico. Many of my students also have immigrated from other countries. So far from God is my attempt to shed light on the struggles of some of our nation's newest immigrants, Latinas who are coming to this country in search of a better life. Inspired by Dying to Cross, news anchor Jorge Ramos' true chronicle of the worst immigrant tragedy in American history, I have written and directed an original work that imagines what it would be like to be a teenage girl who's desperate to make it to the U.S., agrees to become a human cargo on a journey that could very well kill her. It is my hope that this story overcomes the politics of immigration and puts human faces to an issue that is for too many Americans has become convenient scapegoating for everything else that ails our society.
Okay.
Bret.
So let's just be clear about what we know right now.
Yeah.
Paloma for Trump, a.k.a. Paloma Zuniga Delint, was not just in a movie. She was in a movie that is propaganda. She was in a movie that was created for the sole purpose of reimagining the book made famous by Univision reporter Jorge Ramos. And I think that she mentioned she went to school with him once on one of her videos. Maybe that's why she was so eager to play in this movie. But she did it. This is their page from
So Far From God's Facebook page?
Yes, thank you. I'm tongue-tied. You see that the tags there show some of the names of the actors. And if you go down, you'll see that one of those people is this guy named Jose Bonilla. He's one of the actors tagged in this crew of this movie, So Far From God. By the way, the phrase "so far from God" is very important in Mexico because it's a saying, really, almost. It's not even a phrase. It's a saying. Tan lejos de Dios. And the whole thing is a lament of the Mexican people, especially those that live on the border, because the full saying is that the Mexican people are both cursed and blessed because they are so far from God and so close to the United States. That's the full phrase. And it has a meaning, right? That the United States is harmful, but at the same time, it's a goal that people are reaching for constantly, but that there's harm that comes from the United States as well. So, for all of the reasons that I have just stated, I find it very interesting that she has done this movie. But here's another one. I'm going to go further. Take a look at the profile of Bonilla, who is the image we just had before that you took down. Could you put that back on? And if you could go over to the left more where his about information is on his Facebook page, that would be great. Nope, there's nothing over there. There you go. And I need you to make that part big enough so I can read the letters. And what this says, folks, is that this guy, or so that the people can see that he's an actor, right? For what is that organization? Sag-AFTRA? Sag-AFTRA? Why, that's the same actors organization that actress and water protector by proxy, Frances Fisher, is the president of, or one of the national board members of. She has had a leading role in organizing actors and entertainers, some very new, like Estefania Rabelon, and apparently this guy. And there were others. Many of them were part of SAG-AFTRA. And I'm just saying, Frances Fisher has access to all these actors and actresses. They all roll together. They all work together. Another one of those people was Buck Acosta. He posted about the movie, and he said, just saw the short I worked on in Newbury with Bret Polish, and I got to tell you, he did great. The young woman who played the lead was amazing, too. Can't share it with you yet because they're submitting it to festivals.
Okay.
Well done, everyone. Actor's life for me. Entertainment life. Hashtag so far from God. So, he was in the movie. Let's look at his profile. Looks like he's a SAG-AFTRA award, actor as well. Can you scroll down where the about information is on his Facebook page so we can see? No. Ooh. Does it say down there?
No, it just has that.
Oh, yes, it does. It says award-winning SAG-AFTRA actor, Buck Acosta. He's also a writer. He's also a director and a producer. Coinky-dink. And he is a Bret, of course, did win awards for this film. Here he is collecting one. That's not actually Bret. The guy next to him is actually Bret. But it says they're winning for the Best Picture Award at Loyola Marymount University's Film Outside the Frame. Film Outside the Frame is the name of the film festival at which he won. He received the award from Johnny Bravo creator Van Partible. I can't read that last word, but here's a picture of Bret Polish. There he is in the black shirt with the shorter hair. And here is the second award he was given, which is the Faculty Promotion of Social Justice Award from the same university, Loyola Marymount University. So he won an award from the faculty of the university for being the best promoter of social justice.
Yes.
Duke, do you think that the actors that are in the movies like this, that not only usually go to the film awards and the film junkets where they show the movies, wouldn't find out about the awards that this guy gets for his films, you think?
Of course not. This guy's out there, and there's even more you're going to show. This guy has been awarded at a bunch of places, and his film is traveling around all these festivals. So he's well known in the social justice short film, documentary, mockumentary type area. So there's no way that anyone involved with this film or participated with it doesn't have an idea what it was about or what they were getting into, or actually, and if they didn't know any of that stuff, they would know now, and they couldn't play dumb to it.
Exactly. But here is the other thing I'm asking. Do you think Paloma Zuniga Delint was unaware of all of these things, and she was just an innocent little lamb that starred in this film?
No.
That was part of the cast.
I wouldn't buy that.
That didn't actually go to any of the film things afterwards, or the junkets, or the awards ceremonies. She was in a movie, but she didn't tell people about it or what it was about. She didn't brag about it. She didn't show her red carpet dresses or I doubt that. This woman is so about showing to everyone that I'm surprised this wasn't something they would have been shouting from the hilltops.
Yep, exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
Why not?
Yeah.
If you're proud of it. And here is, of course, the Best Film Award was promoted on their social media page that they won, and they posted, So Far From God has now won the Best Picture and Faculty Promotion of Social Justice Awards at the, whatever that university was, LMU, for the films Outside the Frame Festival. Then they also took, this is the Best Film Award that they got in 2016. You see the 2016 film Outside the Frame winners. And if you scroll down, it says that this winners of this event were, it didn't have the whole thing there. I thought it did, but I guess it doesn't. There's another section where they list the film winners, and this is...
So they were one of them.
They were one of the ones that won this award, yeah. And also, more recently, the film was used on World Refugee Day. Could you read that for me, please?
Yeah. World Refugee Day. They've been doing that for a few years now. It's where communities come together and honor refugees. And this was posted June 20th, 2018. In Bret Polish's film, So Far From God, young actress Angie Hernandez portrays Esperanza, a rebellious Mexican teen who risked her life to make a perilous solo journey, hiding in a truck with 15 undocumented immigrants and a limited air supply in hopes of finding her father in the U.S. No human being should go through inhumane situations such as this one. However, they continue to do so in hopes for a better life. On #World Refugee Day, ask yourself if there is a little grain of salt you can spare to help our fellow migrants reunite with their families. See our Instagram story for more information. It has a picture of her from the film that they used to promote the film quite a bit. I've seen that when you look it up,
So this is 2018. Did you see the date? It said 2018. That is very recent. As the migrant caravan was coming to Tijuana, this film was aired again for World Refugee Day. And it's being used as part of the propaganda. But that's not the only thing. Now that I've covered the movie, I want to share with you that there were all these other things that came before that really were upsetting. First of all, you may recall that I used one of Paloma's videos to illustrate the fact that she was talking to a woman named Maria Mesa, who was later brought into the United States by Congress members, including Nanette Barragan, and also Al Otro Lado lawyer Nicole Ramos, among others, with her children. Maria Mesa, if you do not recall, is the woman made famous from the confrontation at the border where her and her two twins in diapers were running through tear gas.
Yep.
That's the Maria Mesa that was then obsessed upon by Paloma and many other people, including Mark Lane, Paola Mendoza, and others. And also, she was brought in to the United States by Congress members. And what did they say the reason why? Why did they award her the right to stay in the United States? This article in KPBS tells you on the basis of what they were able to get her into the United States, and it was because of Paloma. Did Paloma object? Did Paloma say, that's BS? I did. I did it on my show. I said, Paloma did not pose a threat to Maria Mesa. And Maria Mesa and her kids were always hugging on Paloma. She was very friendly with them. As far as I could tell from her videos, she was helping her out. She was giving her donations. So were a lot of other people that wanted to exploit the story of Maria Mesa. So were a lot of the other people that wanted to exploit those activist-controlled caravan goers that refused to leave the street, that were peeing and defecating in the street and refusing to go to El Barretal, that were lying to the people that were staying there or giving them the lines to say to the media for why they would stay in tents in sewer-filled streets and not take their kids to a shelter. Because they had all sorts of excuses. I documented all of these excuses and lies meticulously. I showed you who the liars were, why they were trying to keep them there. And we have since learned through the reporting of Oscar El Blue Ramirez. We have since learned through the reporting that came from the pastor at the shelter, Agape, that they were controlling, the activists were controlling the people in the caravan with drugs. The pastor at that shelter said to me, Cindy, the people, the activists control the migrants with drugs. Those who don't use the drugs are terrified of the people that do. That's how they keep them all in line. That's how they keep them under control. But he also told me that these people, they could have left, they could have gone to a shelter, not just to El Barretal, they could have gone to others because, you know, these people in Mexico, they're not dumb. They're not just xenophobes, racists, haters, like people try to tell you. They were trying to accommodate these folks. These folks went to the border wall, got into a clash with Border Patrol that involved tear gas being shot into Mexico, shutting down Mexican businesses. The damage, the losses into the millions and millions of dollars for the city of Tijuana and many others along the border is stratospheric. But do the people, these con artivists, care? No.
Nope.
They do not give a rat's butt. They could care less about what happened to those people. And if you were willing to be one of those activists, controlled migrants that would do what they told you when they told you to do it, that would stay in the street with your two little blonde-haired twin kids, and then run out with them into the tear gas, we'll get you inside of the United States. But who did they ultimately use to do it? Paloma, Zuniga, Delint. And I was like, what?
How does that work?
How does that work? How did this get pulled off? How did the people who were right there constantly, including Paloma, not know the interactions Paloma had with Maria Mesa? Because they're all over the internet. And you would have to be blind and deaf not to have heard and seen the interactions between Paloma and Maria Mesa and her family, which was almost daily when they were there. So here it comes. Paloma was used as the reason to grant this woman, Maria Mesa, working with these border support network artivists, con artivists, into the country. And here is the KPBS article. Take a look for yourself. It says that, I suppose they don't have a copy of it. I'm sorry, everyone. You do not get the link, but here it is on the screen. You can look up the KPBS article from, I can't tell what date that is because it's so tiny.
Yeah, it's a hard article.
But
December 21st, 2018.
Okay, it's from December 1st.
21st.
Sorry, 21st. And it's titled, Mexican-American Woman Pushes Trump's Agenda in Tijuana, written by that same reporter that keeps writing about these particular groups of activists or artivists or border support network people, Jean Guerrero. I mean, it could be coincidental, but these stories seem, for the most part, to cover a lot of the same folks working in that area. And it says, a little bit about her border crossing lifestyle. Sounds to me more like she lives in Tijuana.
Yep.
Pretty much. She pretends that she lives in the United States, but I think most of her time is spent in Tijuana. It's for someone that is so public, that is constantly doing videos, there's a lot of things that she keeps private, that she keeps very, very private. She doesn't really frequently show you. Sorry. Can you talk for a second, too?
Oh, you're crawling around. You went off screen. What's going on?
Oh, you didn't notice? Sorry, my computer got unplugged.
Oh, wonder how that
which
happened.
would lead to the show ending
Yep.
rather quickly if my computer shut down.
We don't want that.
No.
Must been the dog.
I'm like, hold on a minute. Sorry,
Disappear.
folks. That doesn't usually happen. But anyway, as I was saying, this woman doesn't frequently show you where she at. I think that part of that is because, and by that I mean where she really lives in the United States. You think that a proud American that's living on both sides of the border and always in the United States and definitely a Trump-supporting, loving person would show more about their being here in the United States, in their home environment or around the people that they frequent here in the U.S., but you just see her at Trump rallies.
Yeah.
Or she's at rallies of Bertie Gutierrez and Mohammed El-Nakib and people like Evan Duke. Or she's in those places. And you see here that it says on this article, can you please put the article that we were talking about a minute ago?
Just one.
This is the KPBS article, still talking about that. In it says, to the right, please. Nope. It says in this article that earlier in the week when this article came out, 2 members of Congress and migrant advocacy groups escorted Maria Lilia Mesa Castro and her 5 children into the United States. Escorted them to the port of entry so they could bypass a long wait list for asylum, citing harassment. This was the reason why they let her go into the United States, citing harassment from alt-right media personality Paloma Zuniga. She was stalking her, said Anna Joseph, an attorney with Mexico's Institute for Women in Migration, adding that advocates transferred Mesa and her children to a secret location in Playas de Tijuana so that they could avoid this alleged harassment. Zuniga categorically denies those claims, calling them fake news and saying that she had a good rapport with Mesa and her family, bringing them donations. Well, if that's the case, then why wouldn't Zuniga call out this woman as a liar, Mesa? Because Mesa would have to corroborate the fact that she had been harassed, that she was being stalked by Paloma Zuniga. And I mean, it's kind of hard to say that you're being stalked when you're living in a tent in an area of the city that is literally swarming with media every single flippin' day.
Yeah.
But I don't think that either Maria Mesa nor Paloma for Trump, a.k.a. Paloma Zuniga Delint, did enough to push back on this access. How many other people that were such high profile people in the caravan do you know of that got into the United States escorted by members of Congress and surrounded by actors and actresses like Paola Mendoza and others that went personally to go there to Maria Mesa, including Paloma, because she's an actress too? How many others do you know of whose claim was accepted for her to come and stay in the U.S. until her asylum hearing happens because of Paloma for Trump, because of supposedly a Trump supporter harassing them, and that person not doing really much of anything, no heavy lifting to clear their image or to clear the image that they are giving to actual voting Americans and Trump supporters here. Because, you know, a lot of what these double agents do is give the people that they're supposedly imitating a bad name. And as far as I could tell from what this woman has been adjacent to, she seems to have some problems with her, not just with her actions and her words, but what she has been closely associated with, because it wasn't just Maria Mesa. It was also the woman named Sonia who bit the police officers in Tijuana. You remember that incident?
Oh, yeah.
There was a woman that was dragged away by the cops. Here is a post from Harry Uziel's page. Harry Uziel, the hardcore American patriot. And what did he say on there?
He says, updated, a Mexican-American woman who, from my understanding, is a humanitarian organizer and or a volunteer for the migrant caravan, gets arrested for blocking the door to the bus that was transporting migrants who were being transferred from the Benito Juarez Sports Arena to the new migrant camp in El Barretal due to health hazards. Caravan migrants turns on and began to attack the Mexican police as a woman is being taken away.
Okay. So I'm going to show you the cop biting video So you can see it for yourself. It's crazy for those that are just listening. You're just going to hear a lot of screaming. But if you could narrate the action, Duke,
Sure.
that would be great.
All right. Let's give it a whirl, as they say. All right. They have this woman, the cops have this woman, and they're dragging her down to the ground. They're grabbing her by the arms. They're pulling her. They're pulling her towards the truck. She's talking. They've got her from the front and the back. Now they've got her up against the vehicle. And they're trying to put her inside the vehicle, trying to restrain her. There's a crowd that's making a lot of noise around her. And they have her from the back of the head and in front. And they're trying, her arms are spread so they can't push her through the door into the truck they want to put her into. And she's bringing her arms out, her legs out, and they're just trying to basically fold her arms and legs in. Now they're pushing her in. They've got her body part of the way in, but her arms coming back out. She's pushing her arms again. She's spread eagle over the door opening, and they're still trying to push her in. They're trying to push her in. They're talking to her now. They're trying to console her and say, you know, you're being arrested and you need to stop resisting and go in the vehicle. And they're pushing her in. They've got her almost in. They're still pushing. Now she's pushing her way back out again. It's basically mayhem all around. Oh, and out. No, now did she just bite her in the hand? Tried to bite her. Tried to bite the arms that are coming out. Now she's yelling at the officers. She's in the vehicle, but not all the way. Her head's still sticking out. Now there's a pan of the crowd. The crowd's getting, angry, and they're making a lot of noise. There's a very nervous officer right in front of the vehicle. The people are, standing there. They're not rushing or anything, but they're all talking. And there seems to be some security around, too. And now it pans back to the vehicle, and they're still trying to put her in the vehicle. The police are still trying to restrain her and put her in the vehicle. And they're pushing and pushing, and she keeps on popping back out like a jack-in-the-box, Keeps on coming out. Now she's pushing a female officer in the back of the head, and she's trying to get out. More police are coming. They're trying to clear an area for police get through. There's an officer trying to move people, and he's kind of starting to throw people.
Activists around.
Yeah, the activists are making a...
migrants.
Or there's people making they're locking arms, and they're preventing...
Those are migrants.
Okay, these are migrants that are preventing other law enforcement from getting in to help.
But those migrants look like they're trained.
Yeah.
They look like they're trained.
Arm locked,
Yeah, they look like these activists.
Mm-hmm.
They were getting trainings from those activists while they were out there in Tijuana. From these Antifa, anarchist-led groups in the Border Support Network that I have been sharing with all of you folks. They were preventing her from getting taken and arrested.
Yeah.
Do you remember the arrest of Hugo Castro in Mexico City? Or no, what was his name? The other guy. Cristobal Sanchez.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember how the people around him automatically started grabbing on the police?
Yeah, it's called de-arresting. It's an Antifa technique called de-arrest a person.
It's called assaulting a police officer. That's what it's called. Now they're chanting liberty, liberty. Look at these people are nothing like what Mexicans imagined migrants to be doing. Like this is not normal. No one can tell me it's normal. No one can tell me that Mexican people are supposed to accept this kind of behavior. That woman was trying to stop the evacuation ordered by the government, by the city, by the authorities because of they were shutting down a school. There were robberies nearby. This was a very dangerous part of town. The migrants that were there had gone and disrupted border crossings on various occasions, once with a violent clash with police that ended with Maria Mesa running through the tear gas.
Mm-hmm.
If you will recall, all of these things were led by Irineo Mujica of Pueblos Sin Fronteras and these border network support activists. And many of them, like Paloma, were out there doing live streams and giving you day-to-day updates on what was going on. When I started watching, I was not watching Paloma. I watched some of the things she did because people sent it to me and specifically said, "Oh, this has a person or a thing you talked about." And the other thing that I noticed was that woman that got arrested, she was always lurking around like she was some kind of security guard for the people sleeping in tents in the middle of the street.
Oh, okay.
Every time Alfredo Alvarez, reporter from Tijuana, was, in there, she would, well, not just Alfredo Alvarez, but she would come out and be like, "Who are you? Why are you here? Why aren't you saying this about what's happening here? Why aren't you talking about this and tell the real story in the news?" And she accosted Alfredo Alvarez in this way while he was doing a live stream from the street in front of Benito Juarez when they were, still sleeping out there. That demeanor that she had, this woman, Sophia, she looked like she was a little bit maybe crazy, definitely pissed off for no reason, and unnecessarily aggressive with Alfredo Alvarez. And then I saw her in a video getting arrested. She was also called a coyote, but Paloma made a video about her after she got arrested, and this is what she had to say.
Guys, I'm on my way to the border right now. Apparently, just what I told you guys would happen just happened. That they were going to come and try and arrest whoever didn't want to leave. Because in Mexico, people can't sleep on the streets. We have laws against that in Mexico. I mean, we have designated areas for people to sleep at, but people can't just sleep anywhere they want on the streets. So, what's wrong? TJ's back there. Hi, TJ, come here. Come here. He wants to be with me all day, guys. Like he has like separation anxiety. So, I'm on my way down there. I just got a call that Sonia, one of the women that was trying to talk them into not rushing the border and doing things legally and not putting their families at risk, just got arrested. So let's see what she got arrested for. Yesterday she was with us, and I know that she wants what's best for them. She's a social worker in Mexico City, so I'm trying to figure out why she got arrested. I'll be down there in about 20 minutes. I'm on my way down right now, so tune in and I'll show you guys exactly what's going on. I had made an announcement that whoever didn't want to go was going to get arrested. I told you guys 3 days ago because the police told us, and we know the laws in Tijuana pretty well. I mean, anyone who's living on the street like that, like camping out, can get arrested. So share the video. I'm on my way right now. I'm actually gonna meet Ben over there, and we're gonna head over there. They're having a march. They're having some type of march right now. So it'll be about 20 minutes before I get there. I'm a little far north. So tune in please. In about, again, 20 minutes, we should be crossing the border back over to Mexico. And I'll show you guys live what's going on, okay? Share this video so people know what's going on. They're just trying to get everybody over to the new shelter. Whoever didn't want to go is getting arrested. Sonia, that woman that was trying to get them not to cross, just got arrested. We'll figure out why. I think she's a good person. She just doesn't know how to help, and she's just being kind of aggressive. And so, again, it's unfortunate what's going on, and I think Tijuana police just wants to maintain as much order as possible, and we'll see. No one should really be getting arrested as far as somebody trying to help, but maybe she was aggressive with the cops, and that's what happens in Mexico. If you're aggressive with the cops, they will arrest you. So that's where it's funny. I find it ironic. Oh, there's TJ. I find it ironic that that they're so, defending their human rights right now, but yet in TJ, there's a lot of violations of human rights, and I've spoken up against that before because I don't agree with it. I don't agree with somebody getting arrested just because they don't have an ID on them and spending not even 12 hours in jail, or so we're on our way over there, and just tune in. I'm actually driving, so there's a little bit of traffic. I want to focus on the road, and I'll see you guys in about 20 minutes. Okay, tune in and share this video. Bye, guys.
Okay. Let me just recap the Sophia cop biting lady, and Paloma. And the reason is because I want you to know that early on, when I was watching Paloma in the area of the street outside of the Benito Juarez shelter, I noticed that she was hanging out with a lot of the people that were the most important migrants in the caravan, that were working with the activists of the Border Support Network, like Mark Lane and the actresses and actors. And Paloma was one of them. And the second thing I noticed was that there were escorts within the caravan working with Pueblos Sin Fronteras that weren't migrants, but were passing themselves off. They dressed raggedy. They looked like they're just in the crowd. But many times they were millionaires like Guggenheim. Many times they were escorts or coyotes like this woman, Sophia, was accused of being. And she admitted as much to Alvarez, the reporter, when she confronted him in the night and asked him if he was going to start telling the truth about the conditions for the migrants. And he could tell because of her lack of a Central American accent, she wasn't Honduran. And the majority of the people in that first caravan were. And he said, "You're Mexican. You're not, from, where are you from?" he said. And she told him that she was from, I can't remember where, but a more southern state. And later, come to find out, I see this woman that was very aggressive with reporters run into the arms of Paloma like they're long lost friends. And she says, the woman Sophia, the one accused of being a coyote and also having American dual citizenship like Paloma claims to have, was an escort with the caravan and bit a cop. And Paloma just like, "Oh, we're friends. We love each other." This was before her arrest. But when I saw her hanging out with this woman who was a known organizer working with the Border Support Network, Antifa, anarchist people, I was like, what is up with that? Here is a clip of a video that I think was taken when Ben Borquam was going with Paloma through the Benito Juarez camp that was outside of the sports center on the streets. And you will see in the background where this woman, Sophia, and is standing next to a lawyer from the National Lawyers Guild that Ben Berquam and Paloma are screaming at and arguing with. This woman that basically came in and broke up that argument between Ben Berquam and some other media people that were there, among them Paloma, the shouting match that took place, was Sophia. And she said something like, "In the name of Jesus," or something. And everyone's like, okay, let's calm down, right? So let's watch that clip, okay? Listen and watch. Watch how Sophia greets Paloma for Trump. Check it out for yourselves. Narrate, dude.
You created a situation months ago by getting people from Central America to come here and live like this.
Okay, walking away, they're talking to...
So these
Yeah,
are
the lawyer takes off.
We're starting to get a picture of who. So as soon as I saw the National Lawyers Guild, it's so clear.
What is she doing for them? She's doing
Nothing. Exploiting. All she's doing is exploiting. Yeah, all they're doing is exploiting. So you're starting to get a picture of who is organizing this. As soon as this mother here said, in the name of Jesus.
Ben, the woman behind you, Sophia, is
were talking to her,
organizing
and then
it.
all of a sudden they didn't want to talk to her anymore. I mean,
And
it's
Paloma knows that.
The enemies of America are the same as the enemies of the world.
I wish I
It's
could talk
godless,
to
globalist
Ben back then.
nonsense, Trying to
I wish I
undermine
could go back in
sovereignty,
time.
trying to
Look at her.
undermine people's
Sophia
individual
and Trump's
right to
Paloma are
determine
standing
their own
there.
futures, and they're creating that. They created this problem,
Chit-chatting it up.
and they're
They had a big
exacerbating
hug.
it by just manipulating people to
And they're talking to
rush
the
our
kids.
border to demand things.
She
that
is
they have
one
no
of the
right to,
activists,
rather than
American
actually joining the people that are actually helping it, the
activists.
humanitarians that are actually here in Mexico, saying, "Hey, let's actually help the children." You say you care
Organizing
about the children, yet you're doing
the
nothing
caravan,
to help
funding
them.
it,
But we have
keeping
people like
those
Edgar
people
with
in the
faith, hope, and
street.
love, and
Paloma is talking to one of the people keeping them in the street. You just heard her after the arrest. What did she say? Oh, yeah, she was bound to get arrested. Sophia got arrested because
Sophia or Sonia?
Sonia, perdón. I don't know. Sonia. Yeah, Sonia. Sorry. Sonia got arrested. I don't know. She's Trump's, Paloma for Trump's friend, not mine. I don't know her. But she said in the video that you just heard right now, oh yeah, they arrested everyone. They were going to get arrested because they had to leave the street. Why didn't she say what really happened? Why didn't she say what really happened? Mm-hmm. Which is that this woman, Sonia, who is one of the coyotes, who is one of the coyotes organizing the caravan that created this chaos, that was keeping those people sitting in that sewer filled streets, sewage filled streets with kids so that they could rush the border and do what the activists told them to do. Sonia is one of them. And she's friends with Paloma. How is she friends with Paloma? Interesting, right? Mm-hmm. Here is a video where what really happened with Sonia is explained by the same guy that posted the arrest video, Harim Uziel, hardcore patriot. Here you go. What's the next one?
What's up, my fellow patriots? Once again, this is the Hardcore American Patriot. My patriots, check out this video of the Mexican-American lady to whom my understanding is a humanitarian volunteer, aide, or organizer of the migrant caravan down in Tijuana, Mexico, and who also actually was arrested yesterday for blocking migrants from entering buses and preventing them from being transferred to the new migrant camp due to the health hazards at the old one. This video is in Spanish, so I will translate it to English so that you can understand exactly why she got arrested. So let's go to it, my patriots. So my patriots, the gentleman behind her in the black shirt goes on to tell the group of migrants not to listen to her because she's a pollera, a term used for human traffickers. So again, the gentleman behind her in the black shirt goes on to tell the group of migrants not to listen to her because she's a human trafficker. So she goes on to say, do not listen to him. They took me prisoner. I am a Mexican. So this reporter goes on to ask her, the people are saying that you are a human trafficker. What do you have to say to that? No, I am a Mexican and I am an American. So she says, here it is. They took me prisoner, and she calls out for her husband. Why do you impede people from leaving? Because they are being lied to. So according to her, the migrants are being lied to. They're being lied to that it was going to be impossible for them to cross over to our country illegally. That it was going to be required for them to stay in Mexico and seek asylum. That they were moving to this new migrant camp because of the health hazards at the old one. Because her purpose, as well as many other groups' purpose, is for the migrants to stay there in numbers so they can storm our borders and cross over to our country illegally. He is my husband now. So as you notice, my patriots, she turns around and she notices the gentleman in the black shirt trying to get migrants on board the bus. So she goes and blocks the way and she pulls her husband for reinforcement. So the gentleman in the black shirt says there are people here already that are waiting to be transmitted or waiting to be transferred. So he points out at the gentleman and says this person is already being ready to be transmitted or to be transferred. He's already transmitting. He's already transmitting. So the gentleman in the black shirt says the migrants can do as they wish. They can come and go wherever they want. And I can hear a lady in the background, and I'm assuming she's a migrant and part of this group that wants to get on board this bus because she sounds very grateful at this transportation that they're being provided with. So as you can see, the gentleman in the black shirt tries to help this migrant on board, but the lady behind him that's blocking the way actually slaps his hand down and begins to block the way. So as you can see, she starts pushing on him and says that she is a pollera, she is a human trafficker, as she's pushing behind her the migrant that wants to get on board the bus. So she says again, I am a pollera, I am a human trafficker. So her husband tells him and asks him, she is a transporter, what can you do to her? So now the husband begins to call the gentleman in the black shirt a vendido, a sellout. He's telling him that he's really sold out. So again, the lady says, I'm a pollera, I'm a human trafficker. Don't you have underwear, Papa? I am not moving. So as you can see, my patriots, the gentleman in the black shirt waves over for the police. So there you go, my patriots. Thank you for watching. Translated by yours truly. I will catch you all later. Have a blessed day. Peace. Shalom, shalom.
Okay. So, obviously there was a lot of people that were activists there that we know that are part of the smuggling operation. We've shown you how they're crossing people over the border wall. We've shown you actual pictures that they themselves posted on their social media. We've shown you some of these escorts with the migrant caravan hijacking cars that they videotape themselves hijacking while they brought, because they wanted to get rides from people. So they blocked the road and forced people to give them rides. So there's another person that she was close to that I had a lot of questions about. I saw them run up on each other like they was old friends. They knew each other and they were hugging and all of this. And I looked into that dude because this guy seemed hella weird to me and like some kind of, again, an actor. Over the top actor with a lot of bravado. And it just, one of those people that you can tell is full of beep. Mm-hmm. Ivan Riebling, which is also called Mexican Rambo. And they were cozy. They would hug each other. They would run up on they would walk around and talk with each other while they were there. You remember Ivan Riebling, the guy with the lion, Duke?
Yeah, the guy with the animals and the panthers.
And the crazy stories that said that he worked for the cartel, that has been in jail in the United States numerous times for transporting drugs, trafficking drugs, and also selling drugs. Also, he has numerous weapons charges. And incidentally, I don't know if everybody remembers this or not, but Ivan Riebling was connected to the activists in the Border Support Network, specifically to Evan K. Duke III, the person that created the Border Support Network, the Antifa anarchist leader that created the Border Support Network, the one that works with all of these actors, including Francis Fisher and all the people that brought us the nonsense at Standing Rock for over a year. Yeah. It was that Evan Duke in this article. If you will recall, in this article, Evan Duke, I got to show Ivan Riebling and his lion, Duke. That's just the best picture ever. Do you remember this?
Oh, yeah.
He's the Mexico-based cartel associate known as Cobra Commander. This San Diego Union Tribune article shows that federal officials of the United States of America, also written by Wendy Fry, who likes to do donation drives for Border Angels. That reporter that I showed you many times is questionable to me. Wrote this article, and I remember I talked about this article because it upset me when it came out because it was talking about yours truly. You remember that?
Yeah.
This irresponsible reporter quotes Evan Duke III when asked about this investigation by the FBI into him arming Antifa activists at the border and planning making activist camps along the border with Ivan Riebling. This known felon with cartel connections, drug dealer, narco trafficker with lions. You do remember that, right? How is it that Paloma just happens to hug up on one of the coyotes coming into the city of Tijuana all the way from Guatemala with the caravan, and they're instant best pals. And then she's also really cozy with Ivan Riebling, the guy that is accused in this article, of negotiating weapons deals with Ivan Riebling and Evan Duke for the camps, working together. She also, maybe it's just a coincidence, right? You think it's just a coincidence that Paloma was in the Resist Fascism, Bret Polish, Jorge Ramos Univision propaganda film, and also was friends with the coyote cop biting lady, Sonia, and also helped Maria Mesa get asylum in the U.S. because Paloma was stalking her, and also happens to be buddies with Ivan Riebling. You think? So then you have this other article, this one from PJ Media. This one from PJ Media is talking about the same thing, but they go into a lot more in depth, and they talk about us. So why don't you read some of that?
An ongoing investigation detailed an unclassified FBI report warns of a plot by anti-fascist activists to buy guns from a Mexican cartel in order to stage an armed rebellion at the southern border, the San Diego Union Tribune reported. The militant Antifa activists planned to disrupt U.S. law enforcement in military security operations at the U.S.-Mexican border, according to a December 2018 document that went out to dozens of federal law enforcement agencies in the U.S. and Mexico. While collecting dossiers on mostly American journalists, activists, and lawyers in Tijuana involved with the migrant caravan, federal law enforcement officials discovered the alleged plot, which involved activists purchasing guns from a Mexico-based cartel associate known as Cobra Commander, or Ivan Rieblin. The unclassified report was provided to the Union Tribune on the condition that the person providing it would not be named, and with the request from the entire document not to be shared online because of the ongoing nature of the investigation. Two additional law enforcement officials confirmed the investigation is ongoing, although no one has been charged. Unclassified means the information can be released to people without a security clearance, but the document was also labeled law enforcement sensitive, which means it was intended to be seen only by those in law enforcement. It is information report, not finally evaluated intelligence, the 6-page report states. Receiving agencies are requested not to take action based on this raw reporting without prior coordination with the FBI. The FBI sent its report with priority to the Department of Homeland Security and U.S. Customs and Border Protection, the Drug Enforcement Agency, Immigration and Customs Enforcement, the Central Intelligence Agency, and the National Security Administration, among other agencies. Two people named in the report, Ivan Rieblin and Evan Duke, said the accusations were untrue and illogical. Duke said he never met Rieblin and that Rieblin was not someone he would have associated with. Rieblin also said the accusations in the FBI report are illogical. It doesn't take any sense that someone from the United States would purchase guns from Mexico, and the Hondurans certainly didn't bring money to buy guns. It doesn't make any sense. In fact, it's extremely absurd to say the Hondurans wanted to attack the United States at the border, said Rieblin. Rieblin has a long rap sheet in both U.S. and Mexico.
Yeah, I mean, this is not a flattering view, but I can tell you, a lot of these people have talked trash about my reporting, but I can also tell you that the FBI is not investigating me. I can also tell you that Homeland Security is not investigating me, that people are not holding me at the border or putting me into secondary inspection or drawing down on me with loaded weapons, like they are on Evan K. Duke III. And all of the other pseudo-activists and con artivists that I have exposed on this show. They are ones that are being investigated for international human smuggling and trafficking, and worse. And from the moment I noticed all the behavior of Paloma, who she was conveniently always around. Some of y'all like to talk smack about my reporting and my investigative work. Why don't you give it a try? Yeah. See if you could produce. I would like to see one of you wagging your fingers at me for exposing these people. Why don't you give it a try? I dare you to try to put together a show in the amount of time that I do, with the amount of research, citation, proof, evidence, and video that I do to show all of my work. And then come tell me that my work is not valid when you have at least attempted to do it. Because the amount of time it takes to locate all of the information I am putting together in a neat little package for all of you is not a small amount of time. In fact, it's not even one day. In order for me sometimes to drop my story on a person, I've been researching them for 2, 3, 4, 6 months. Gathering information and studying how to put together a case like I did when I was working as a paralegal. like I have, the way that I did when I exposed the fraud and the lies behind the false imprisonment of Kathleen Bennett. And not only that, but also freed her, got her a lawyer, freed her, exonerated her, and had her reunited with her mother. I think, if you want to know the truth, I think that the work that I have done since Standing Rock in exposing all of these people, in showing all of their crimes, in freeing the innocent and putting behind bars the criminal, I think my track record speaks for itself, actually, very loudly. I think it does very loudly. What does this person have to their credit other than helping a person like Maria Mesa, who was a puppet of those activists, those con artivists that were terrorizing the city of Tijuana to get asylum in the United States at the front of the line? Other than that, she's got this movie credit.
Mm-hmm.
And I've heard there's a lot of drama around, she said this to me and they said that they're fighting with this and that. I'm showing you things that are concrete. It's not that he said, see, no. I'm showing you people that she has repeatedly been around, associated with, and made movies with. And it's all connected to the same folks I've been investigating. That's what I'm showing you. That's what I'm bringing to you.
Mm-hmm.
If you continue to read this PJ article, and I recommend it because they cover my reporting, actually. They cover my reporting. They cover Evan Duke going all the way to Standing Rock and the Kathleen Bennett case. People tweeting at President Trump, telling him about the hoax at Standing Rock, and those same people from that group of mercenary activists now at the forefront of the debacle at the border, at the crisis created by them, funded by them, promoted by them. And this article quoted that law enforcement was investigating him because of a North Dakota radio talk show host. Now, if you believe that I have the kind of power to unleash a multi-nation investigation that involves the Department of Homeland Security, the FBI, Border Patrol, ICE, and the Mexican authorities, as well as Interpol, if you believe that, what he was quoted as saying, that I did this, I had the power to do all of this, not because he's criming and they're looking into it, then I have some high quality air to sell you.
Mm-hmm.
Of the highest quality.
Mm-hmm.
Never been used before.
That's right.
Brand new.
Brand new air.
It's completely new. So, believe what you want to believe. I see this this trash talking coming from those whom I've exposed, because un sinvergüenza, ¿qué le queda? Where do you hide when you've been exposed? When your junk's hanging out? Where do you hide? You can't hide no more.
Mm-hmm.
That's why. And I wanted to share with you a reminder of who shared this specific article in the Union Tribune that quotes Duke. None other than Brooke Binkowski. Remember, I told you she works for some kind of a Snopes website that tells that people go to check whether or not a news story is true or not.
Yeah.
Yeah, this lady. Friends with Mark Lane. Friends with Ari Harnorvar. Friends with all of those people in the Border Support Network that are exploiting the caravan goers. And in the comments, you'll recall, they're all having a conversation about who is the lady in the radio station quoted. And everyone says, or somebody says, was it that woman Paloma for Trump? They mention her. Mm-hmm. They know. And then somebody else says, no, they were talking about me. And Mark Lane says that I do shows calling him a human trafficker all the time. No, I said smuggler. Yeah. You need to learn the difference between the two phrases. Mm-hmm. But yes, I believe that you are. And I think that that's maybe why folks are looking into it. Yep. The authorities need to know more. But I'm reminding you of that for a reason. So put a pin in Brooke Binkowski because we're moving on to KPBS's story. Oh, that's the same thing that we already showed before, right? Yep. Okay, so let's look at what Paloma has told us about voting for Trump. Because I don't even know. I'm just a saying. She lives in Tijuana for the last 11 years. She's been living in Tijuana. It's the only known place that she's been living. But somehow she came over, and it's not like she's been voting the entire time. She said she wasn't even for President Trump. If it hadn't been for President Trump running, she would have never even gotten involved in politics. So she's never really involved. Mm-hmm. Never even really cared about the difference between Democrat and Republican. In January 2016, I registered to vote for the first time only for him. So she had wasn't doing it. The question I have is did she, and was it like legal? Anyway, she says, I registered to vote for him, only for him, which was the first, wish there was a Trumplican party. Ha ha ha. So again, this isn't about a party. This isn't about being a responsible American, Mexican-American, dual citizen voter. Did I ever tell you my dad actually has a voter registration card and votes in Mexico?
Yeah, he's dual citizen.
He's a dual citizen, yeah. Mm-hmm. But, he knows how important votes are in Mexico and the level of corruption that are there. So he's always been like, he's the one that calls me and says if I don't go vote, he's, we're going to get into a fight. Yeah. Like, he makes me vote. Even when I'm like, I can't do it this year, Dad. It's depressing. And he's like, you have to vote. So it's not for those reasons. For Paloma, it was just Trump. Trump was the one that got her involved. And she posted the voter registration verification, which we'll get to here in a minute. Here's the voter registration she posted about. And it says that she voted in Los Angeles, right? Mm-hmm. Or that she registered in Los Angeles, excuse me. And here's the registration receipt that shows that she got a receipt. She posted all these things on her social media. Mm-hmm. So before people start freaking out that I'm showing her private information again.
Yeah, and this is from her own page.
Exactly. Okay, and then I wanted to show you one of the most astonishing things because I'm like, okay, cop biting coyote lady, check. Narco Rambo, check. But when she got into the Border Angels Playa shelter like it was her own house, I was like, oh, hell no. What just happened? I remember people sent me the video and said that she and some Arizona Patriot people had teamed up and were going to be doing videos from Playas de Tijuana, we're already doing videos from Tijuana, and they sent me this video, which I am going to show you a clip of in a moment. But just so that we're clear, this reporter, Maya Averbuch, posted that indeed this shelter is run by Hugo Castro. Hugo Castro border shelter in Playas. Here it is. You can see her tweeting about this. And she says what, Duke?
Hugo Castro, who helps run a shelter for migrants near the beach and belongs to the group Border Angels, states that their arrest is similar to that of Scott Warren, who is on trial in the U.S. for his migrant aid work in Arizona. This is being treated as a vigil. And they have candles in a circle.
Right. Remember that vigil?
Yeah.
Where the people from the border shelter, Embajada de Migrante, the one that they just talked about, had Douglas Oviedo singing a song.
Oh, yeah.
To the banner of the migrant and his
child,
little toddler that drowned in the Rio Bravo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Super gross. Yeah. Well, I'm glad you remember all of that, Duke. Here is the location where that happened during the day that Arizona Patriot, I can't remember her name right now. I apologize. I know that I'm horrible with names sometimes. But the point I'm trying to make here is that I've watched people report like Oscar El Blue Ramirez and others. And I've also heard Hugo Castro himself say they keep the place locked and they don't let anyone in, especially people who are Trump supporters, especially people who call themselves patriots, especially people who they don't feel is on the agenda of open borders. They don't let those people in there. Hugo Castro said it in a video that he made when the National Guard were on playas, checking people's IDs and taking people away. And he confronted the National Guardsmen and the immigration of Mexico, the basically the equivalent of ICE that was there. Do you remember that video, Duke?
Mm-hmm.
And what did he say? He said he doesn't let any people in.
Yeah.
That shelter right there, that he runs that place. He doesn't let any of those people in. But he would let Arizona Patriots and Paloma for Trump in? How's that?
Really?
How did all the people miss it? They are literally talking. All of those buildings, the Embajada Migrante, the Border Angels building, office, whatever, and the corner cafe, those are all part of Border Angels' presence. They basically own on beach property, right? Some of the best real estate right there, right next to the border wall. And they own the whole thing. Remember how big that was, Duke?
Yeah, it's only a stone's throw from the border wall, too.
It's massive. It's massive. And of course, Paloma knows it. It took me a while to figure that out. Of course, I don't live there. And I don't personally know all these people. Apparently, she does. But Oscar wasn't allowed in there. He's a resident, too. He was filming from that area all the time. He went and showed, this shelter is running right here. They won't let anyone. He tried to go. They wouldn't let him in. Paloma, right in the door. Check it out. There's a clip.
It's hanging on the front right here.
We normally have a lot of
check it out. There's a migrant shelter right over here.
It's in the New Testament.
Look at how beautiful it is, though. Right? Look. There is the migrant shelter. And Embajada Migrante shelter.
Yeah, they're showing the front.
So they're, oh my God, look, they have our flag upside down.
Where?
Go ahead, on the window. See it?
Oh, yeah, I see it.
Upside down flag.
Actually, it's not.
It's okay.
That person's mistaken.
So
The
what
flag is
happens,
right side
guys,
up.
is American activists come down here and they, coach the migrants in that shelter.
Hi.
Hi. On how to violate our laws, how to get over this wall, how to falsely claim asylum when they don't have, any valid claims of asylum. Isn't it cool? There's Border Angels. What's the Border Angels?
Just yelling at some people randomly.
What's the Border Angels?
What do you mean? The shelter?
See right there it says Border Angels.
Oh, those are shelters.
They're each individual shelters?
Yeah, they have different organizations and they have,
Gotcha. Pretty close to the
they help people that have been deported. They give them shelter. They feed them.
Gotcha.
And technically, legally they're not supposed to be so
that close. Yeah.
Yeah.
She's panning.
Can we go talk to them?
Yeah, let's go.
She says this before.
You're not going to be swinging anybody here.
I know, right?
She says she's.
Is there an SPLC division in Mexico?
They're talking about the Southern Poverty Law Center because the Arizona Patriots are being sued by the Southern Poverty Law Center.
Right.
You really want. So we're going to tell you to go.
So what do they do here? Oh, that's like a cafe. The undocumented cafe.
It's like a Disneyland now.
Right. It's a theme.
It's a theme, yeah.
It's a theme park.
Theme park.
See, they're talking out loud,
Yeah.
so it's not like the
Undocumented
people that are
cafe.
running these shelters, this cafe or whatever, wouldn't know that these are Americans, that they're obviously, joking around at the very least, but they're making comments that would indicate they're conservatives, right?
Yep.
From the United States. I don't remember exactly what Jen is wearing, I think is her name, but she's usually, wearing very patriotic, American-looking
this is
clothes.
stolen land.
She makes comments when she sees something that makes her angry if
The
somebody
Migrante
disrespects
shelter.
America or the flag, like she was just trying to point out there. I think that the flag is turned around the other way, but maybe
Not upside down.
it's not upside
Look at
down,
that
but it maybe, especially if it's two-sided, they have it on the inside.
Yeah,
I don't know,
why?
it's weird. I don't understand why there's even a flag hanging in that window
Lots.
from the United States, but whatever.
Why? It should be open.
See, I think that was
Walls are
Paloma, and you could
immoral.
see her shirt. See, they just opened it for
Look,
her,
wall,
Yep.
and then our flag upside down.
right?
There's absolutely. Translate.
He wants to know if you want to go in.
He wants to know if you want to go in.
Give us a tour? Can you give us a tour?
He said, yeah.
Can you give us a tour?
It's like, sure, come on
Hola.
in.
Let's go. Come on, Mikey. You're my buddy. Come on, you're my bodyguard. Yeah.
And
I
Paloma
know.
goes in
You've
first.
done crazier
Yep.
things. Border cycles. Hola.
There's people literally
We're in
just
the
chilling
migrant
out.
shelter. Why not?
And
Why not?
Paloma just goes through and starts asking these people questions like they owe her answers about their private life.
Exactly.
It's not like
Guys, if we don't come back,
We don't come back. You know where we're
you know
um,
where we're at.
Send the FBI.
they're interested really in finding out.
Okay, perfect. I
This
like
is the
that.
weird part.
I got you.
If they are being
Why is
coached,
our flag in the window upside
lied
down?
to, like their focus, Paloma's focus in a lot of her questions, I noticed, is just asking people, are you going to cross?
Translate
Do you want to?
They let us into a... Buena.
Are you going to do it? What are you planning on doing?
They let us into a shelter.
I don't know.
They allowed us into a shelter right here by the border.
She's awfully interested in whether or not people want to cross over.
No.
And for my taste, she has too comfortably entered into the lion's den, a place where no other people are allowed. By the way, that includes locals who are also conservatives in their own right, in their own country, like Oscar El Blue Ramirez. And I'm not going to stir the pot here in terms of what's going on with other people's personal things. But I will say, because I don't want to address it, but I'm talking about the time frame. I think it's important that y'all note for the time frame that this was shortly after Paloma had some blowout with Oscar specifically, and I think later Anthony, or maybe it was at the same time. I'm not really remembering the details. But I noticed it was weird, and immediately I saw her glomming on to the Arizona Patriots. And I thought, wow, she's like a very effective hit woman or something. I don't know. Like, she's all of the people that are communicating effectively, reporting effectively, or bringing information from her beloved president's party. She seems to, we have a saying in Spanish, have stomach hands. You know why they say some people have stomach hands? Because everything they touch turns into
Yep.
caca. So maybe it's unintentional. Maybe she just doesn't get along very well with a lot of people for some unknown reason. Maybe that's what it is. But it also could be sabotaging people that are truly conservatives who happen to befriend someone that is a con artivist that they didn't know was con arting them. It can happen to the best of us, believe me. For a while, it was happening to me with the con artivist that came to Standing Rock.
Exactly.
Why? Because we're not all some paranoid a-holes. We like to think that the fellow man isn't some jerk that's going to try and exploit you and take advantage of you because you have a kind heart and you're just trying to be a decent human being. But you know what? There are people out there like that. And I'm just asking questions. I'm opening up the questions because I see all of these connections. And a lot of you who have recently started watching my show that haven't been listening to me for the last 3 years, you can ask those who are veterans to my program if you'd like. Testimonials if you'd like information. There's been a lot of complaining all along the way about the sacred cows that I have brought down on my shows and told people to watch out for because I have concerns. I don't irresponsibly sound the bell on someone until I have enough goods. No digo que la burra es pinta hasta que tengo los pelos en la mano. And for those of you who've been sticking around long enough to notice, I'm dead on center. Balls to the wall, on point, almost all the time. And I have said it before. I will repeat it. If I am wrong, I will retract publicly and I will apologize. Done it before, can do it again. If I'd made a mistake, I will. I'm not saying, for those of you melting like the witches of Oz, because I'm talking about all of these things that I feel like we all need to examine. Some of you may want to call me paranoid, but I will say this, okay? Let's say for the sake of argument, I am paranoid. Maybe I'm suffering from PTSD from all of these con artivists and mercenary activists that came to Standing Rock and wreaked havoc on our life for over a year and then continued to do so around the country and the globe. And shouldn't I? Don't I have a right to be? After all the damage that they've done. Many of the people that railed against my reporting and exposure of these pedophiles, rapists, these criminals that I exposed, that I helped to expose here on my show, later, sometimes years later, had to come crawling to ask me for help in exposing the very people that they had been defending. a capa y espada, that they had been defending against all odds. Why? Because they finally got conned. They finally got robbed. They finally got crimed against by the very person they were defending. And now they had a bone to pick. Now they wanted to take that person down. Look, some people use their platform, and unfortunately Paloma is one of them, for their own personal gain, to raise their own personal profile, and they do it at the cost of the truth. They do it at the cost of other people. That's not what this is. I was a caseworker before I was a paralegal. I worked within a broken system where I watched as some kids were left in the system to die. And I said, I'm not going to let that happen under my watch. I would rather quit this job and go back to college and do something else. So I went back and I studied the law. I thought, this time, I'm going to have more power to actually make a difference in people's lives. When I began working in the media, and it just so happened that my brother owned a paper, so I had a lot of opportunities to work in media. I also worked in radio back home. I've done a bit of television as well. My focus was always on the news. Even as a paralegal, we partnered with media people to expose high-profile cases like the time that we sued the Fargo Police Department for discrimination, or that other time that we sued the Department of Labor for not doing its job. And you know what? Even with all that I learned and all the power that the law has to make change in the world, nothing I have done has had the power of reachability and learnability, and for people in real time to change the course of what is happening than media work. That's why I do media work. And one thing I've also learned over the course of the last 3 years is I'm looking at a much bigger network. I've been investigating these people for so long, to the degree, in fact, that I have been paired up and working with a professor from George Mason University, Guadalupe Correa Cabrera, who is an expert in the field. That's how long I have invested myself in doing this work. Right? And it's so that I can inform you and warn you sooner and faster. And give you information that you need to know so you can make up your mind. I'm not telling you that this person is a criminal, a smuggler, that she is like Riebling because she took a picture with Riebling, or that she is a cop biter like Sonia. Or no, I'm telling you what she has been connected to, adjacent to, involved with, and you make up your mind. You want to keep following? Go right ahead. But this is what that border Angels building that she so easily and handily marched into is connected to. As you will recall, Hugo Castro is the guy that runs that. He also runs a group called Cultura Migrante. Cultura Migrante is a page. Cultura means culture. I thought it had something to do with the arts because they did a lot of videos, and apparently it has to do with, artists getting involved in activism. But all I ever saw them do was accompany the caravan and film all of the protest marches, including that violent clash with Border Patrol that Maria Mesa and her 2 little kids were running around in the tear gas of. Here's the post from their page. They were right there. You see the gas in the background? And here's that border clash video. You can see how close Castro and his people were to the action on that day. Just like so many of these Border Support Network activists They were not only organizing this clash with the police, they were there to film it and put it out in the media. And here is that video. Record. They're laughing. They're smiling. Did you see that? Those two that ran by. Okay. So you see this, and you see that they were there like many of the other con artivists that were right in the thick of things all the time. You know, they just happened to be right in the thick of things, hanging out with all the people at these events. Castro, you may recall, was kidnapped at some point, according to a video he posted of himself on the highway. And then KPBS did an article in which the executive director of Border Angels went to visit him. You remember the executive director of Border Angels, right? Mm-hmm. This is Mr. Enrique Morones, you see in the picture, that went to visit him back when he was supposedly, allegedly kidnapped by a criminal gang. And in this article that I had shown you before but had not read the whole thing to you about, it makes some stunning allegations that were raised by his partner and I believe maybe his wife, at least his baby mama, Gaba Castro, who was quoted in an article that was published on April 17th in La Opinión newspaper that suggested that Castro might not have been kidnapped by a criminal gang and put in that hospital bed and beaten by, whatever happened, but that instead he had ended up in a vulnerable position in central Mexico because of a pre-existing mental condition. The piece in La Opinión quotes his partner, Gaba Cortes, as saying that he had been diagnosed with bipolar disorder when he was 17. I also want to remind my listeners that he's a Californian. I also want to remind my listeners that in a video that he made with Gaba when Irineo and the other guy got arrested, Cristobal, he said that he had been imprisoned in the U.S. for something having to do with drugs. Okay? Just want to remind everybody of all that. I also want to remind folks, here's the article. I'm going to share all of these articles with you guys so you can have them and check them out for yourselves. Do some digging if you like. And here you go. All the stuff. And this article says that the article in La Opinión quotes two people. One of them is Gaba. The other one is Irineo Mujica. This is La Opinión article. And it's titled, "The Migrant Activist Hugo Castro that was disappeared. Did he disappear because of crime, a criminal because of crime, or was it a paranoid attack?" And then later on, after the video section of this, where they post, they show the video of him, saying that there's people following him and that there's this weird caravan of people following him. Come to think of it, when I first heard that she had been quoted as thinking that maybe he had a bipolar episode rather than that he had really been kidnapped, I started remembering how weird it was that he couldn't get a single soul to help him, or didn't feel like he could get help from anyone. And he was just going to stand there on the side of the road until someone showed up and picked him up, apparently. But of course, that didn't happen, and he ended up in a hospital. Remember?
Mm-hmm.
So, interestingly, when I looked at this, they have the Gaba quote, right? But they also have a quote from Irineo in which he admits that he not only knows about Hugo Castro's bipolar disorder, but that he says that he saw him with a caravan in Washington, and he was talking about shaman and some people that were following us that were lovers of death. Like he kept saying in that video that the people that were following him were lovers of death, or worshippers of death. The word better translates to worshippers of death. And at night, that these people were worshippers of death, while at night, Irineo also discovered that he would make these strange prayers and also put holy water over his, spread holy water around. So that was some other corroboration. And what's interesting about the original article that this is quoted from is that Gaba denies ever having said that.
Wow.
She denies that she said that her husband is bipolar, and that could have been the source of the reason of what happened to him.
Wow.
Also, I wanted you to note and remember this article in the Voice of San Diego, which talks about the fact that he disappeared and that he needed to be recovered. That was written by, who wrote that article, honey?
I can't see it.
Why, that is Brooke Binkowski.
Oh.
She's a reporter too, honey.
Yep.
She's one of the people that she writes the articles that have the propaganda in them, and then she runs a website where people come and fact check to see if the things actually happened. Isn't that convenient?
Mm-hmm.
And this article is titled "Border Report: A Disappearance That Hits Close to Home," and in it, you see that this article is talking about Hugo Castro, and says that he is a prominent border activist and a humanitarian worker. She really pours on the sugar coating here. The guy is just like walking on water, Mexican American Jesus. And then it includes an interview that she does with Gaba Cortes, the partner and baby mama, with Hugo and her baby in arms during this interview. And she's wearing her Border Angels shirt. And she includes the PayPal account of Gaba and the Border Angels so that she can go and search for her husband. And she says, Castro's disappearance is not just another story about someone I know loosely, as has been the case for years whenever a journalist or activist is disappeared or murdered in Mexico. In those cases, it is heart-wrenching, sad, scary, and too close for comfort, but has always pushed me to work twice as hard to unearth the stories that might hold those accountable who would otherwise intimidate or terrify people into silence. Hugo is different. He is someone with whom I have worked for many years on stories, an essential contact for various interviews, a dedicated humanitarian, and most of all, a friend. To be just 1 degree closer to someone who has disappeared is worse by many orders of magnitude. It is more than chilling. It is gutting, disheartening, and most of all, demoralizing. So, then she goes on. But Gaba Cortes, as she herself just described in the article she wrote, helping to look for Hugo Castro of Border Angels, is his friend. You think she does favorable stories on Border Angels, Duke?
Yeah.
What do you think her opinion is, not only of Border Angels, but all the people that Border Angels work with in the smuggling operation accused onto Pueblos Sin Fronteras?
And she's there to protect him.
Huh?
She's there to protect him.
Like many of their media allies are. Mm-hmm. And you saw Brooke Binkowski talking with Luz en la Frontera on her Twitter. You see that she works closely with all of the people that are involved in supporting Pueblos Sin Fronteras, including the crooked lawyers of Al Otro Lado. The ones that made the fake weddings for fake families, so that they could make fraudulent claims of asylum. And I showed you the receipts. That's what Border Angels is up to. And do you remember what else they're up to? Oh, yeah. Remember that time they arranged a cartel wedding?
Yeah.
At the border with Border Patrol agents?
Mm-hmm.
Here is the news report from that. I showed the entire news report.
Yep.
And it showed how Enrique Morones, the executive director of Border Angels, the one that arranged this embarrassing wedding with a convicted narco trafficker involved in Mexico's drug cartels, to have a wedding. It says cartel wedding at the border fence arranged by the Border Angels. That's Hugo Castro. Mm-hmm. That is what Paloma del Trump, apparently she can just walk right in there.
Yeah.
I suppose that if you're the kind of person that can arrange a narco wedding at the border with a Border Patrol and pull something like that off, then of course you're going to have the kind of pull with the media you're going to have the kind of pull that would allow you to do a lot of other things, such as radio. Gaba, his wife, does radio. Here she is in her studio. Looks like she's interviewing Mr. Oviedo. Mm-hmm. You remember him from El Puente, the new shelter they're building, mm-hmm. and also the band El Puente with Adam Elfers and the group of migrants that were taken from the streets to the Agape shelter, that were involved in the threatening and the kidnapping of that little minor child that came unaccompanied by the name of Carlos. Mm-hmm. They were part of the group of people, as you know, that have been involved with Kei Kurimoto and Jake Lee Harris and Lolly B, all of whom volunteer, all of these Antifa people in Tijuana that volunteer with these organizations that support the alleged human traffickers and smugglers of Pueblos Sin Frontera. Here's a picture where Adam Elfers is posting a thank you, with Gaba Cortes posting this picture of him saying, "Thank you, Adam. Thank you for your love and to our community and your music and your artivism." See where I got the name of the show?
That's where it came from.
Yeah. She says, "Thank you, Border Rangers, for all you do." I think it's so cute when these people do all these crappy things and they're involved with the cartels and organized crime and all this stuff. And then they're like, "I'm going to call it artivism." Isn't that cute? Hashtag artivism. I'm like, wow, that's what you called this crap.
Mm-hmm.
You came up with a pretty name for something that's really dark. And then she says, thank you, Border Angels, for all you do and are wearing your shirt today to recording all in caps. Thinking of all the immigrants of many nations and the dream we share. And then if you scroll down, you can see that he responds to her. He's wearing the shirt that says, bad hombre. And he says, respect and love always. You're a great person with a heart full of light. Artivism, unite. So he knows what that means. He knows she's one of the artivists too.
Yeah.
And guess what? Gaba also is friends with Kei Kurimoto. There's pictures, and this one is one where they're tagged when they're, doing their band.
Oh, yeah.
And you can see there's Kei Kurimoto tagged.
Mm-hmm.
And, of course, Gaba is also an actress. Here's her IMDb. She's a director and an artist and a documentary filmmaker, incidentally.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a picture that she took with Mr. Alejandro González Iñárritu, who is a very famous Mexican director. I'm sure you may have even heard of some of his movies, but if you don't know, he's pretty big.
Okay.
He was the director of the movie Babel with Brad Pitt in it.
Oh, yeah.
You might have heard of that one.
Mm-hmm.
He's done a lot of others that you probably have heard of. Okay. And Gaba also has this. This next one is the same? Yeah, it's the same one. Yalitza Aparicio. Or sorry, I skipped ahead. James Franco is her buddy too. Or is the next one? Which one's the next
one?
Okay. This is her Facebook page to give you more information about her about section. She has a picture there in the background. Her background is Human Lens. Rally of it's basically a conference for editing and it's for the festival, the International Film Festival for Human Rights. That's what the group Lente Humano does. And she works for them, as you can see in her about section, if you scroll down a little bit. And it says there she is a co-founder of the Humano Film Festival and a Border Angels volunteer, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she also is Artivism, Artists in Action, Art and Activism. She leads that page too. That's when she's talking about artivism, it's because it is people that are artists or musicians like Adam Elfers or actors or directors doing activism. That's what it is. And she also is posting about Guillermo. Or did we get James Franco? Yep, she is with James Franco, the American actor. Here she is talking about Guillermo del Toro. In his star, she puts the little hat. He gave a speech and said that he's a human, that he's a migrant recently.
Yeah.
And a lot of these folks in the Border Support Network were posting it, which is why it made me recoil a little bit. As did the posts of Yalitza Aparicio, the actress from Roma, that I saw a lot of people, including the transgender activist, American activist, Pitaya Queen, who was accused in Tijuana of trafficking children sexually. Because all of these people were really touting the fact that Yalitza was there. And I was like, oh my God. Well, this is not shocking now that I know that she is closely tied to Mexican celebrities. Gaba Cortes posted that she was there. This is the W Magazine Volume 2 cover, photographed by Carlos something or other. And she says, I remember the sensation of seeing when this picture... Can you go over to the words a little bit more so I can see the whole sentence there? Yeah, when this photo was being taken. I can feel the sensation of seeing when this photo was being taken. I feel the knot in my stomach, in my throat, to reach that dream. And she definitely was there, because here's a picture of her taking the selfie with Yalitza. I'm sure that happened either on that day or later that evening. And she's talking here in her post first about what an honor it was to meet her. And she starts thanking a bunch of people. Among them, you can see she tags Aaron Gurola, Lupi Cortes, Andy Corner. I clicked on all those names, and they're all directors, photographers, actors, all of them. And, of course, she tags her partner, Hugo Castro, Border Angels, and a woman named Michelle Corner. And there is her picture with Oscar-nominated actress in the movie Roma, Yalitza Aparicio, who's probably one of the first widely celebrated actresses from Oaxaca that has a lot of very indigenous-looking features in film. And it is a proud moment for a lot of indigenous-looking Mexicans throughout Mexico to see themselves reflected in media, of course. But I kind of hate the fact that Hollywood here or in Mexico are using celebrities in this gross way. And Gaba was directing that day. Look at her with the microphone, a megaphone in her hand. There are other pictures on her page that show the director, the other people that were there holding the cameras. And of course, Humano tries to, give good representation of people that are indigenous, and that, as the name of the, film festival implies, it's human rights that are important to the filmmaker's work, that advances the identity of indigenous people in the movies. And here she is working with Humano. You can see that she is saying that that's what they do. It's a multi-discipline international group of filmmakers and actors, etc. And she also has an arm of this Humano that is a mobile bus, a movie bus, kind of like Estefania Rebelon's bus. And you know what? It's a cinema bus where they do animation, theater, lectures, photography, and music on a bus.
Wow.
And Adam's like, yay! Adam Elfers.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's got their whole bus scam thing. Remember all those buses they had out at Standing Rock? Same thing, different circus. Mm-hmm. And finally, I want to show you Gaba's bio. You can see that she's a documentary filmmaker and an activist first. And, of course, then a producer. Go check out all of the information about what is really behind Border Angels. It's fascinating the more I learn what they're connected to and who they're about. But this is definitely a human rights festival, folks. This last slide shows you from her page, the title there, and, of course, the presentation in front of her. It's all about human rights in film. And that means they create the narrative, then they film it, then they sell their films.
Yep.
Just like they did at Standing Rock. Just like Bret, what's his name? Bret Polish did. They win their award. They get the faculty award. And they use the propaganda to go and, in this case, move people across the border and destigmatize, a lot of which is non-safe exploitation and human smuggling of people. That's what I have for you tonight. I will have more. But guys, I did an extra long show. I could cram all of this information in there and give you a bigger picture to study. Thanks for being here with the Mexican Crossing Lines. This was your host, Cindy Gomez-Schempp.
And this is Duke Gomez-Schempp.
You've been listening to 88.1 FM, KPPPLP, Fargo Moorhead, where we are adding local color to your airwaves. Good night.